Hello and welcome, it is that time again where I go through my favourite films of the last year. 2023 was a bit of a wild ride, with the whole world falling to Barbieheimer madness, though I think that people have said pretty much all that needs to be said about those two films. So I'm going to focus on a few others, including some that I feel maybe didn't get the attention that they deserve. Now, of course, I'm still going to feature a few big hitters, but hopefully you get your eyes on some that may have passed you by during the last wacky 12 months. Without further ado, let's get into it. We're starting off with Across the Spider-Verse, one of the biggest movies of the year, and the reason why every film trivia quiz for a period of about 3 months contained the word bagel as a clue. Now, I can't deny that this film suffers from what I call the Mockingjay Part 1 problem, where it simply exists to bridge the opening and the ending of a film series. However, it is truly a marvel, pun intended, of animation, voice performances, and a mix of nostalgia and the infinite possibilities of the multiverse. Seeing the Spider Society HQ full of Spider-Men, women, people, animals, cars, inanimate objects, etc. is probably one of the biggest spot the reference sequences in any film ever. We had comics, video games, live action, TV spider people all over the shop, including even a horse, a car, and a wild Donald Glover appearing. Across the Spider-Verse continues the relationship of Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy through multiple universes, action sequences, and awkward meetings as they chase a villain called the Spot, originally a scientist from the first movie. One brief collision with a bagel, he's a superpowered supervillain rampaging through the multiverse, causing absolute carnage as the Spider Society give chase, led by Oscar Isaac's Miguel O'Hara, otherwise known as Spider-Man 2099. Haley Steinfeld and Shameik Moore lead the cast with brilliant performances and travel through a host of wild and different animation styles and worlds as they fight disaster after disaster. Now, I do love the first film and I love the second, but I can't deny that that ending is a real gut punch, and left a lot of cinema goers maybe not disappointed, but at least frustrated. And I feel the same. Give me the sequel, Sony. Hand it over. Next up is another comic book movie and another Marvel movie. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 closes out the trilogy of this particular group and does so with by far the strongest of the 3 films. Obviously, never say never, but this is probably James Gunn's last involvement with Marvel, and he knocked it out of the park. Guardians 3 takes our heroes to the origin of Rocket Raccoon's story, a company called AugoCorp run by the High Evolutionary, who performed the experiments that created our Build-A-Bear friend, voiced by Bradley Cooper. The full cast of Guardians return, and it also adds Nathan Fillion, Linda Cardellini, and Will Poulter as Adam Warlock. Throughout the film, we're given flashbacks to Rocket's creation and early life alongside other modified animals, and it does get very dark and very heavy, and those of you who've seen the film will know exactly the part that I'm referring to. The writing, comedic elements, and acting mix together perfectly in this film, making it, at least in my opinion, one of the best Marvel movies, if not the best of the post-Endgame period. The action sequences are gorgeous to look at, the soundtrack, as always, fits flawlessly, and it's just brilliantly creative. Zero gravity, vehicle chases, corridor fights, space flight, the lot of it. It also drops the first and so far only F-bomb of the MCU, and I think it dropped it in pretty much the perfect place. Was it necessary? Not really. Did it make the audience choke on their popcorn with a stifled laugh? Yes, it did. All in all, the MCU needs more films like this, and it needs more directors with the talent of James Gunn. Based on a webcomic by N.D. Stevenson, Nimona finally released this year after being revived by Annapurna Pictures and Netflix. The film had been in the works since 2015 under 20th Century Fox, and was then thrown into the delayed pile when Disney acquired Fox, with its original release date of 2020 moving to 21, then 22, it finally came to life in June 2023. Starring Chloe Grace Moretz and Riz Ahmed, Nimona follows a knight who is blamed for the death of the queen of their medieval futuristic kingdom, and a shapeshifter who is persecuted for her abilities. The film was praised for its beautiful animation, vocal performances, and themes of inclusivity, and the importance of finding oneself with the stories of gay and queer main characters. I'm glad that this film finally saw the light of day, and I can commend the production and the dedication of the team that it took to keep pushing to get it out there, even if it only made it to a streaming platform and unfortunately not a wide release. However, having a movie with such an important story to tell just lying dormant on a hard drive somewhere would be a tragedy. But then again, making films and then cancelling them afterwards seems to be a running theme at the moment. Nimona at least made it out, and it's an easy, enjoyable watch at 1 hour 40 minutes featuring beautiful scenes of battle, a sci-fi fantasy universe, and great chemistry between our two animated heroes. The art style is fresh, the characters are expressive, and the world they created really draws you in, particularly for a person like me who loves alternate history and sci-fi. Seeing what appears at first as a medieval world reveal itself as a land of cybernetic prosthetics, laser swords, and monster-slaying plasma cannons is a joy. So we don't say it often, but thanks Netflix for taking a chance on a story like this. Moving on to Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, to give it its proper name. Described as a dramatic war thriller, The Covenant follows an American Special Forces soldier as he pieces together the aftermath of an attack on his unit in Afghanistan. John Kinley, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, arrives back home in the US, knowing only that his survival was due to the actions of the unit's translator, Ahmed, who has now been refused visas to bring his family to America. Feeling an immense debt to Ahmed, Kinley sets about trying to resolve this problem, even hiring a private military contractor to get him back into Afghanistan. The film jumps back and forth between present day and the events after the attack, showing the incredible lengths that Ahmed went to save his friend's life. It's a tense and intense sequence as we follow the translator dragging Kinley on a sled across miles of Taliban-occupied desert and even up and down mountains as he evades the fighters. Dar Salim puts in an astonishing performance in what I think is actually his first English-language film. The actor was born in Iraq before fleeing to Denmark as a 6-year-old and starred in several Danish films before joining Guy Ritchie's cast for this movie. I feel The Covenant went under the radar, releasing alongside the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Evil Dead Rise, and Beau is Afraid all in the same month. It went on to stream on Amazon Prime, which is where I watched it, and I'm glad I did. If you like nail-biting moments and modern war films, this is one of the best of the last few years, at least in my opinion. Lastly, in my 5 choices for this video, I'm putting in David Fincher's newest offering, The Killer, with Michael Fassbender. Tilda Swinton also achieves top billing in this film, despite only appearing for around 4 minutes, but hey, it's pretty nice to see her. The Killer is, as expected, a killer, though an assassin to be more specific. After failing his latest mission, he begins a tale of revenge when his partner is attacked at their secret home in the Dominican Republic. Split into chapters, the killer, who remains unnamed, travels across the world chasing the would-be assassins who injured his partner, following up leads in Louisiana, Florida, New York, and eventually Chicago. It feels like a classic crime movie, a very cold but slowly warming main character. He follows a set of rules clearly set out at the start of the film, but on such an emotionally charged mission, these start to crumble. The film is firm, engaging, and definitely stylish, with one of the roughest, most violent fight scenes in recent memory, leaving me wondering how the stuntmen involved didn't end up with serious injuries, considering how feral and hard-hitting their punch-up in the second act was. We're talking improvised weaponry, smashed doors and windows, and even several walls crashing down in a Florida home. It's a hand-to-hand combat feast for the eyes, and while it may not be as slick or as clever as Fight Club, and it certainly won't win as many awards as Gone Girl, to me at least it proves that David Fincher has still got it. And there we have just about what I consider my favourite films of the year, though it really did take a lot of thinking, and because of that, there's going to be another video following this one with a little bit of a best of the rest. So, hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I hope you enjoyed 2023 in movies. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you fancy and you want to see more stuff similar to this, and I'll see you in the next one.